Welcome, Ayleen. Thank you for joining me today. You look fabulous, by the way. Lighting is great as well. Love
Yes.
that. Perfectly positioned lighting on. And picture on your wall as well. Is that like angel wings?
Yeah, it's I've got a thing for angel wings, so I don't know if you can see it. It's
Yeah.
oh, it
Wow.
can you see it there? It's some wings.
Yes.
So yeah, I've
Oh,
got
it's very
angel wings. I've got wings on here and wings here.
beautiful. And the tattoo on the wrist as well.
Yeah, there's a resemblance from that. So that is for it's for my mum who passed when I was one. So she is my guardian angel. So I believe here and here. So yes, this was my second tattoo, third tattoo. I didn't get tattoos till I was 38, and then I did a little, yeah, and then I got eight.
No, you just got it all at once.
No, I just got one, then I loved it, and then I got another, then another, and yeah, just kept going.
Love that. And I love the symbolic because your mom's always with you. Love that.
Absolutely, yeah.
In spirit and in the
And she's in
yes.
here, and yeah, this is just to remind
Yes.
me if ever I need reminding that, yeah, it's there.
Beautiful. I haven't got any tattoos. People find it really strange as well. They're like, you tattoos at all? I'm 35, but maybe in a few years, I
Mm,
might get a little something. But I feel like I'd want it to mean something to me personally. I think if I'd have had one years ago, it would have been, but that for you is meaning and it all
yeah.
sort of ties in, yeah. So
They
where
all
are you?
have a meaning. There's all a meaning for them, and I couldn't have them before because I used to model years ago, so I wasn't allowed. So then, but later on in life, I was saying, I thought, no, I'm gonna, and I started to get the first. They all have a meaning.
Love that. You said you used to model years ago
Yeah,
and do they have quite strict rules?
yeah. Tattooing back then wasn't seen to be. You couldn't do it. I had to have my hair a certain way. I couldn't cut my hair. It had to be like a shoulder length. I couldn't have short hair. So as soon as I stopped modelling, I cropped my hair. There was a Natalie Imbruglia style, which so I went from long hair to just I shaved all the back and everything.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you couldn't like do certain things. You couldn't have tattoos or distinguishing features as such.
Mm, it was quite, yeah. I know that you have to be because really, I find that quite strange in this day and age because they are quite inclusive of all of that.
Yeah, it's much more now. It's
Different
so
now.
it's so different. They
Mm,
encourage all that. And Cara
yeah,
Delevingne, she got the lion on her finger, which inspired me to. I'm born in the year of the tiger, so I got a tiger on my finger.
nice.
So yeah, but now you can. It's great to be diverse, and they look for that. Whereas back then it was very staid, and everyone was sort of samey. Yeah, and you just had to stay in that sort of look that I was,
Mm,
and I was a sort of I was a swimwear and glamour model, but nice glamour, nothing dodgy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you still do it now or you
No,
different?
I do bits and pieces of modelling, but
Yeah,
it's more editorial and stuff that I do fitness. I still do fitness because I'm very much into that. I've gone
yeah,
back
yeah.
into that. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, fitness, yeah. Well, you've got a beautiful figure, very glamorous. So that's why I thought, well, is she still doing it? Is she, yeah.
I try because I'm trying to keep
Mm.
well, I am young at heart, but I reached 50 last year. And
Wow.
yeah, the last few years, well, the last 10 really changed my life. And I just, got back into being myself, how I was years ago. But I'm a
Mhm.
better version now.
Love that. So pausing on those 10 years
Mm.
of finding yourself again after that 10-year, what was the cause of that 10-year, sort of
Oh.
losing yourself? What was the cause of
Well,
that?
it was, I don't know, I think it was a slow burn. So just background. My mum died when I was one. My dad left when I was five, and he was in and out
Mm.
of my life. And then, I always wanted to do more and be more. And I'm from South London, and I just thought I want to get out of South London. So I went to America when I was 18 by myself and travelled around the Caribbean, and did quite well for myself. I came back, got into modelling, and then I went travelling again. Then I did quite well, bought a place at 23, and then had a child at 25. But I was always working in a club industry. When I came back from in between modelling and everything else, I was very driven. I've always been very driven and wanted stuff. And I got into the club industry, which was great fun for many, many years. And I don't know, in that time, it was a lot of partying back then. It was the 90s, and from then onwards, and drinking, you know, when other drugs came into it, and
Yeah.
partying.
Mhm.
I had my daughter, and that slowed me down. I left the modelling scene then. But I did some modelling with her.
Mhm.
And then I was in a relationship with my children's with her dad. And then at 30, I had another 3 children, very quick succession in the space of 4 years. Their dad was older than me, and it was quite it was good fun, but it was quite a turbulent relationship from early on. It was quite it was quite toxic. I'm looking back now. It was fueled by a lot of fun, excitement, and drinking, partying. And when I had when I had the 4 children, I was at home, and from the outside, you would have thought everything was rosy. I had this beautiful house, had cars, you know, everything was going well. But inside, the drink and had started to increase,
Mm.
really, and the relationship. You know, he spent a lot of time abroad, so I was bringing up the children on my own, and you know, I just found it was quite a lot. And after me leaving the club scene, which
Mm.
was my life for many years, which was my, you know, it was my work, my social life, and having the children, which was the best thing that happened to me. You
Mm.
know, I felt like I'd lost a bit of myself. You know,
Mm.
it's I don't know if you can relate to that, but it's just like I'd had this amazing life, and it just all of a sudden slowed down and was completely different. You know,
Mm.
my
Mm.
children, I was a great mum and everything, and my children meant the world. But I started, you know, things just wasn't right at home. I was finding it not difficult, but the drink started
Mm.
to increase, and then our relationship, it was quite controlling, even though he wasn't there a lot of the time. In truth, if he'd have said jump, I would have said how high. You know, that was
Mm.
how it was. And then the drink started really to take hold, I think.
Mhm.
Um, it's just something that you you know, when I drank for a long time, and it was a social drinking, and you always think you have a choice, and for many years I did have a choice, but it started to turn and take away me, and it just become quite dark, with the drink. And you know, it got to a stage where I was getting quite angry. I'd turn into a different person, not to my children, never, you know, nothing's ever happened
Mm.
with children, but I just became
Change
angry,
you. Yeah.
yeah, with
Mhm.
me, and just started to blame everyone because
Mm.
I thought my world was falling apart. And in
Mhm.
truth, it was.
Mhm.
And I started to get in, you know, in some conflicts and stuff. And
Mm.
in 2000, it was when I was 40, so my 40th birthday, I just thought it was really dark, and I just thought, I don't want to carry on. I've got to get out of this relationship, which was increasingly difficult. There was some domestic violence.
Mm.
You know, I was nearly in a refuge at one point,
Mm.
and I just thought, I've got to get out. It doesn't matter if I don't have anything if I don't take
Yeah.
anything with me. I just got to
Yeah.
get out.
Just gotta
Uh,
go.
yeah, I've just got to go. So I
Mm.
upped in sticks, I got some accommodation. It was miles away, and I used to
Mm.
transport the kids backwards and forwards from Feltham, which I don't know if you know where that is, but it's quite away from where I lived.
Mhm.
And then their children's father got very angry, and we was in a battle, and I ended up signing away my house in because I wasn't focusing on what I was doing. I lost a very big house, this house that I was
Mm.
living in. And then it just spiraled out of there, you know. And
Mm.
after that, after I lost that, then I was put in another temporary accommodation,
Wow.
and I just really was starting to, the wheels were really starting to fall off.
Mm.
And then without, this is going to sound absurd, but without realizing it, I was I was becoming a danger to my children,
Mm,
really, because the drink had really took over.
mm,
And then I lost the custody of my children in
mm,
the June of 2014. Now,
mm,
thankfully, their father, and this is why I'm grateful to him, he came back from Spain and took care of my children. Else they would have
mm,
gone into care, and this was all
mm.
down to my um, drink and
Yeah.
addictions.
Mhm.
This is when it became very dark and very dangerous, and I kept going into blackout.
Mm,
And I fell out with my family all because of this.
mm,
And it just then it got dark, and I just thought, what is the point of me living? And then I started getting
mm,
suicidal thoughts, just like but I didn't want to kill myself as
mm,
such. I just thought if I go in my sleep, that would be
mm,
okay, because I thought I can't
mm,
kill myself. My mum died for me when I was a child. She knew she would die if she
mm,
had me.
mhm,
So I just thought that I can't do that. But if I die in my sleep, that would be all right, and then
mm,
I don't know. And I just, there was a point with no children, my money had gone, I'd lost, I pushed away all my friends and family.
mm,
And I just remember I just was sitting in this flat, and thinking, this is not it. This is not how my story ends.
mm,
I don't know where it come from. I just thought, this is not it. This is not my life,
mm,
and I don't know what happened. And I think I just I prayed to something that I didn't really understand,
mm,
because I wasn't really, I'm christened and I went to a church school, but I thought that God had abandoned me. This was, I'm not a religious person, but this is what I thought, oh,
yeah,
look what you've done. You've taken away, because I lost my father at 19 as well. So
yeah. A
and
lot
I,
of loss you've had to deal with, a lot of loss.
and I just thought, this is can't be it. And I think there's more to life than this. So I prayed to this God that I wasn't keen on, because he took
Yeah, I
everything.
love that. Yeah, yeah.
And I just thought, please help me. I just really just didn't. There was a point where I thought, I just don't want to. I don't want to die, but I don't want to live. Just help me find something. And I believe
Mm,
that there was some chink in this armor, because I've always been very self-will, like I can do this, because I've always had to stand up on my own 2 feet. As a child, I was the youngest of six, and we all had to grow up super fast. And I've always had to get my own money and stand on my own 2 feet. So I thought, this is not it. And something felt in there, and I ended up getting into a detox. I begged, I don't remember how it all happened, because
mhm,
in that stage in my life, the last, from when I lost my children, which was in the June, until I got into treatment in October, was just a blur. I cannot
mm,
remember much around it. It just was like being in and out of consciousness. Remember getting to certain things, and I came out of detox. I was only in there for 9 days, and they were saying to me, "I've got funding. Do you want to stay longer?" And I just needed to be separated
mm.
from drugs and alcohol, just
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get clarity.
yeah.
And I don't know, I just became, I think, willing. I just thought, this is my chance. I remember being in this unit, this detox unit,
Mm,
in this room, and there was this window, and it was so bizarre. And this is going to sound crazy, but I thought,
no.
this is my window of opportunity. I've got to grasp this. Um, and I don't know how it changed, but I thought, this is it. And they gave me in there, I don't know if you know anything about fellowships in there, but they have these
No.
chips in like fellowships, AA, whether it be AA, and it was a 24-hour chip, and it says for a new way of life.
Mm,
And I thought, I need one of those.
yeah, yeah,
Like, that
yeah.
was like the understatement of the year.
Yeah.
uh and I came out, and I had this chip, and I just had no money, no children, and in this temporary accommodation. And I just thought, I've got to find meetings, and went to a meeting. And I, again, don't remember getting there. Someone said to me afterwards, it was like you had clever feet. I believe I was guided or something. I ended up going to this meeting, and I was welcomed, and I didn't really want to be there. I thought, is this what my life has come to? It's
Yeah.
crazy because
Yeah.
you know, I've had like beautiful trips around the world. I flew on Concorde, and I lost everything. And I thought, this
Mm.
is what my life is, coming to a hall. But you know what? That was the start of things to come.
Mm.
Because it just, people were kind to me there, and just showed me, some love. And I did. That's the first sort of sense I'd had of that. And through going to that and meeting people, I'd started to think that, I can get a life back again.
Yeah.
Um,
That was the catalyst of you moving out of what was to what is going to become you and your
yeah,
next
that
journey.
absolutely. Yes, it was a slow process. It really
Mm.
was, because I just had to find a way of living again. I
Mm.
hadn't. I got a calendar. I know this sounds weird, and a planner, and I used to tick the days off because, like, of firstly of being sober, and then of knowing where I was again, and also at this point now, I thought I want to have to try and fight for my children. There was
Mm.
a lot of changes. I had to find a home. I had to, it was one step at a time. But I had to find a home. I had no job at that time, and that wasn't my focus. It was to get clean and sober, and fight for, get some recovery under my belt so I could think
Mm.
clearly again.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it was to try and find a way of fighting for my children. It was,
Ayleen, you're one tough cookie. I'm thinking you got yourself out of that. That is, and as you're explaining it, I'm like, oh gosh, like you really did overcome a huge hurdle that probably would have broke most people. Like, I know that you're saying that you can't remember the time that you were and what you were doing because you probably were being guided through it. But wow, you've gone through all of that, battled, and then for you to be marking down the days till you're clean. So that's a huge accomplishment.
yeah, it was a real slow process. It was really learning to live again, to be part of society, because I've been separated. I don't know if you know much about drinking alcohol, but it wants you isolated on your own, in your own
Mm.
head,
Mm.
feeling like you're worthless. Like,
Mm.
self-hatred I had for myself, because I thought, I've let everybody down, I've let my kids down. you know the self-loathing,
Mm.
guilt, shame that I was carrying, it was just so heavy. And I just had to learn that it was I was under addiction. It's classed as an illness. It is an illness. I know some people don't think of it, but it's a disease in oneself, and an illness, because it takes over. It literally takes over. And it was a daily, each day it was just think about getting through the next day clean and sober, the next day clean and sober, with the help of, I was going to fellowships and stuff. And I joined a like a drug and alcohol team, which put me in directions. I had to keep myself busy to do stuff. So they used to send me on these little courses of self-esteem and mentoring. So
Mm.
while I was doing this and finding, I had to get some self-esteem. So, I went back into learning. So at the
Mm.
same time, because I thought I need to start using my voice, because I found it really difficult to express myself or just to talk. And like I
Mm.
say, I had to fight for my children, but I couldn't afford a barrister. So I had to learn to represent myself.
Yeah, it's like you died and you were reborn
Yeah, that
into
is
some. You
exactly
had to
how
literally, because I can definitely relate in terms of having to, and I'm sure many people that are listening can relate as well in being in a relationship that you do lose yourself and you completely go the other way and you have to find yourself again. So I can definitely relate in that respect, and that's a slow process. And in losing yourself, and having to find your feet again, it's tough. This is why I say you're so you really overcome a hurdle, because some people don't find their way back. You
No.
can lose yourself so much that that's just what it is now.
Yeah. Well, yourself, I mean, from the relationships, from years of it wasn't some all the physical abuse, it was mental and
Yeah,
emotional abuse, and that
yeah.
sometimes hits deeper. Like if you're told so
Mm,
many times that you're not good enough, or you know that
mm,
you're this, it just it starts
mm.
chipping away at you. Yeah, it was like I didn't know. This is going to sound crazy, but I didn't know what I liked anymore. I don't know what I like, what I don't like. What do I wear? I totally it was like,
Who
who am
am I?
I?
Yeah.
Who am
Who
I?
am I?
Yeah,
Who am I? You come out of this relationship and you think, what do I even like?
yeah,
Well, what who am I? What who is, because you can be in a relationship where you're constantly pleasing the other person and not pleasing yourself. And then you end up, and if you do that for a long period of time, it ends up becoming, you're conditioning yourself and it ends up becoming who you are. So
yeah,
to have to find, and it's not quick, it doesn't happen quickly. It's such, like you said, I like that word that you use, a slow burner, because it is. It's step by step by step, and you having to almost push everything away. That's why I understand what you're saying about you had to completely separate yourself from, the alcohol. It was like that has to be over here and I have to be over here. And, I find that that can be the same with having to separate yourself from life,
yeah.
friends, family, and you having to figure out who you are and completely isolate yourself from everything to find
Mm.
yourself again.
Yeah, so you know, I said before I didn't have this God. So when I was getting sober and I was trying to fight for the kids, and I was like, I'm sober. I want them back. You know, I want them. Why is it not happening fast enough? You know, and the kids used to say because I used to have to have visits with them, and that was really difficult from being a sole parent all the time that they was born to then having supervised visits and stuff. It
Mm,
was really difficult, and they'd be saying, Mum, when can we come home? And I was like, I don't know, because I had to
mm.
fight through the services to get
Yeah,
custody of the children. But I believe that that time that I didn't have them, and this is where I started to get realizations and finding like what I call a power greater than me, is that that time was given to me to find me, you know,
yeah,
to
yeah.
start
It
working on
was. Yeah,
myself. You know, I
yeah.
started to you know, I went to the meetings, I went to groups, I went to like some, I had some counseling. um I just started to mix in college, like I started to learn stuff. You know, I just started to feed my brain and my soul again was good. I started to
Mm,
read books and
yeah,
just, you know, finding out what I like, listening to music. It sounded like I was just like trying to feed my soul
yeah,
again with stuff.
yeah. Because you imagine, and I know I know it was a terrible time, obviously, you not having your children there with you, but imagine if they were, you wouldn't be who you are. So
Mm,
that break from everything, so you could discover who you really were at the core. Because
mm,
if they'd have been in your life, then you wouldn't have found that. You wouldn't
no,
have, because you would have been just probably living for them and being the mom and doing this and doing that. But that their dad stepped in and said,
yeah.
right, I'm going to do this for this period of time. But you needed that.
Yeah, definitely. I did need that. Looking back now, I can see that was God given. You know, that
God
time
given.
for me to work
Yeah.
on me, and finding me has been a slow process. Again, it's just,
Yeah.
you know, I'm now, God, by the grace of God, because we always say
Mm.
this, I'm now 10 years clean and sober. You know,
Woo,
no,
yes.
it's so crazy.
Congratulations, Ayleen. Yeah.
That was last, you know, in October just gone.
Mm.
And for me, I couldn't get like 10 hours. So that
Yeah.
was like amazing. But when I look
Mm.
back and things like, you know, things were really, there were some really tough periods. Even in that time, you know, I had to
Yeah.
fight for custody of those children.
Get them back. Yeah.
A year sober, with 13 months sober, my brother suddenly died. That was really hard, you know. And I was used to having a drink on if you was happy, if you was sad, if it was flipping raining, I would, you know, whatever it was. And this happened, and it was one of the, you know, the hardest things I've ever, you know, I've dealt with stuff, but when I was drinking, this is I had to do sober, and it was so out of the blue, and that happened. And then a couple of years later, my godmother who brought me up from my mum, she passed as well, and then trying to get home. There was been like some hardships, but through all that, I've not had to pick up of a drink. I got my children back, and I don't know, it was a process, but looking back now, and I think, God, all of those things have made me stronger. I know that sounds
100%.
crazy, but
Yeah,
it's made me
100%.
the person who I am, because I've got through that, and I've learned, even in those hardships, I've grown as a person,
Yeah,
and become more resilient, and knowing that I can do these things. And because when you doubt yourself, when you're in the deep depths of, when you've been chipped down through relationships and you've lost yourself in drink, it's really hard to think, can I do stuff again? What am I going to
mm,
be? Or, am I going to be of any service to anyone? Am I going to be good at anything? Because I always think,
mm,
when you've been to the bottom, you think, am I going to I'm just a failure in life, really.
mm,
Um, and going through what I've gone through, I'm not, but it's been a
mm.
journey of learning about me, and liking myself again, and
Yeah,
ultimately now, loving myself, because I can do things, and I can get through
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. 100%. Like, all of that, and then you've come out on the other side, and you've managed to not dip back into those addictions or into, and obviously life's life. We're all gonna have good days and we're all gonna have bad days. So I'm not saying it's perfect and rosy, but for you to have that, the your brother passing away, and then your was it your godmother?
Yeah.
Your godmother passing away, and not retreat back into those old habits is strength in itself.
Yes.
Um, because you had your life together at that point, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah, you had your kids back and you had your life back. So therefore, it was like, okay, you know what it was like over there. Now you've got it back. You just, what did keep you from, because bad situation, you're starting to feel, okay, I'm losing things. What did keep you from going back?
I just kept remembering how dark it was, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And there's something there thinking, I don't ever want to go back.
Mm,
It was so dark, and
mm,
the loneliness, and just,
mm.
I just kept thinking, if I do pick up, and this is the thing, I don't know if I would ever get back. I just don't know if I thought, oh, a drink might make it better.
Ah, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, one's one's never enough, and a thousand's too many. It's
Mm,
just like, you could say, I just have one to take the edge off, but that
mm.
one then sets off a craving in me, and I don't know if I could go back. So I was thinking, and also, actually, when my brother died, the children weren't. I didn't have full custody of them. I just was
Ah,
with joint. I had joint custody at that point.
okay. Mhm.
And there was a clause as well that said, if I go back drinking again, but that isn't enough, in itself to keep me. I don't know. I just thought, I want, I've had a taste of life, how it could
Yeah,
be.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
just want to keep going.
Mm. I do think that anybody that overcomes things always talks about the bottom first. They always talk about reaching a level of absolute rock bottom, and then it's like you go up from that point until you've reached that bottom. It's like, if it wasn't that bad, you probably wouldn't have got to this point. If it was like this, but you still had custody of your kids, then you probably, do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes life has to be really bad.
I
And
mean,
this,
there was a few. There was like a bottom, and you get to a bottom, and you think it can't get any worse. So, like, you lose your driving license, or you get arrested. You say, oh,
mm,
that's pretty bad. Then you lose
mm,
your driving license.
mm,
Then you
mm,
lose your house.
yeah,
Then you lose
then
your soul, and then you lose your kids, and you think it's not going to get any,
yeah,
like, it had to
yeah,
have it had to. Like, some people don't have to go to those depths, but I'm just one. I always push it to the limit, and it
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
kept
yeah,
going,
yeah,
and I got to a point, like when I explained to you about that point when I was in the flat, and I was like curled up, and I just thought, that was it. And I looked around, and I thought, there's no one here. There's no one here.
mm,
No one's around for me. This is it. This
mm,
is it.
mm, mm, mm. And it's amazing how you've turned everything around and that you're living your life completely different mindset, everything. Um, do you are you dating at all at the moment? Are you married? Are you what's the relationship status looking like for you?
That's the trigger. That's been left on the backbone. I'm not in a relationship. I just
Mm,
I've tried, but it's not right. And I just think my focus for many of the years actually was my children.
mm,
I want to see them stable, and for me, it was like I put them through enough. Really, I mean,
mm,
they love me to death, and they thankfully. My bigger one is she was 16 at the time. She was the oldest, and the others were 6, 7, and 9 when
mm,
so when I lost custody. So I just thought when I get them back, when it was like 18 months later, I just wanted to focus on them. So, and then for me, so it's been recovery, my children, and trying to find out what I really want to do, like career wise, because I don't want to go. I love the clubs, but I wouldn't go back in there because it just
mm.
wouldn't be the environment for me going back into,
Okay, yeah.
because
Mm,
it's just they say to you when you're coming out, when you get clean, so don't go into wet places. I'm strong enough to do
okay.
that now, but I just
Mm,
don't want to go back in that scene. So it was
mm,
like for years I tried. I went in and did mentoring. I did advice and guidance. I worked for the Citizens Advice.
mm,
Like I always knew I wanted to help people. So, and then I
mm,
trained for 3 years in counselling.
mm.
And then I thought, oh, but you can't, with counselling, you can't actually tell people what to do, and you have to wait for them to find out, which is amazing. But I like to want to help people.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to
You
say
wanna
this
get
is
in there
yeah,
and
this
be
is
like,
what
"Right,
you
okay."
can do.
Yeah.
So I'm still like finding my way with that. So I'm working now at working promotions and hospitality, but eventually I want to go into you know, some form of mentoring or, helping women empowerment some way.
Mm.
So I'm still finding my way doing that, and
Yeah.
public
Yeah.
speaking, something like that, just to say that this is what you can do. If you believe in yourself, somewhere in there that you can light a spark. Just
Mm,
all it needs is to be just a little flicker and something
mm,
to ignite it, and someone to say, look, we believe in you. Because
mm.
people, especially in the rooms of the fellowships they said to me that they was like, we believe you, you can do this. And it was people telling me you can do this that made me think, yeah, maybe I can, I can do that.
Sometimes no, let me rephrase this. All it takes is one person to believe in you.
Yeah.
That is it. That is it. You just hit the nail on the head. Yeah. Just one person to believe in you. And I think that that can be also with a career as well.
Mm,
It takes one person to really acknowledge, because I can, from your story, what you said, you'd be a great asset to any sort of rehabilitation centers, empowering other, if that's the road that you wanted to go down, I'm not sure, but you said that you wanted to help people. What a great asset you would be to any organization um that has people that are in that situation,
mm,
because you understand what that's like. But I guess it's like you wouldn't be able to tell them, but it just takes somebody to believe
mm.
in you. Interesting.
Yeah, I help mentor other women in addiction, but I also help, like I go into prisons to talk about drug and alcohol. So I go men and women's prisons and also rehab centres. I go around and just do like short talks and just saying, this is my story and this is
Yeah.
what can happen. You know,
Mm,
it's a story of just if I can do it, you can do it too. And it's what you said, it's if someone believes in you, and even when you don't believe in yourself,
mm.
it can change everything.
It 100% it can. When you say that the when you were at the facility, it was the people believing in you. Is that what really made it
It
You keep
definitely,
going.
yeah,
Was
it
it a group
definitely.
of people or was it one person in particular?
Well, I have a sponsor who I talk to about everything, but just I don't know it. There's like an energy. It's just like when if you're around people, they always say stick with people that are winners or whatever. You vibe off that
Yeah.
energy, and there's
Mm.
an energy. But you know, my sponsor always believed in me, and I would go to her for like run things past you because your brain, like, I don't know, but my head can go a million miles an hour, and I think an
Yeah.
idea is great.
Mm.
And then I'd run it past her, and she said, you might want to think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
It's
'Cause
just it's like a mentor, really. So yeah,
yeah, like mentoring. I'm just listening to you. I'm thinking, yeah, like yeah, I can imagine that you would really impact people that were listening to your talks, but on a one-to-one basis, wow. You doing mentoring or something like that, having that like a sponsor,
mm,
somebody's sponsor. Like, wow, that'd be really powerful because it's that one because anybody can talk to a group, can't they? And
mm,
then somebody in the corner can be like, oh yeah, but when you got that one to one, it's like, oh my God, this person really believes in me.
yeah.
Different, isn't it? One to one is so different from a group.
Totally, yeah. Because you feel like you're really being heard as well.
Yeah.
That they're
Mm,
listening, they're taking that in, and
mm,
you just feel that they can hear me, and
mm.
then you just feel, I don't know, you feel something, and it just sort of lights you up. When you
Yeah.
get like an energy, you think, yeah, I can do this now.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. 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 I mean, I'm just listening to you and almost seeing myself a little bit in what I'm saying because I've created this whole empowerment coaching business in which people can come to me for one-to-one empowerment coaching. So basically, like obviously we're doing a podcast now, but people can actually book and have a one-to-one sessions for that empowerment to move them to the next level of anything that they want to achieve, basically. And I'm realizing as I'm speaking to you how powerful it could be, and you could be as well too. But I'm seeing myself in you. Do you see what I mean?
yeah, you'll be amazing. You've just got a way of listening and stuff, and you just, yeah, totally.
Thank you, Ayleen. Yeah. You would be a huge asset to anybody that you're going to be speaking with to really empower them. Yeah. Because what a story. Because you have reached the absolute bottom, losing your children and getting them back. That in itself is huge. The
Yeah,
losses that you faced and not having your parents around from, beyond the age of what?
19.
Losing your mom at 1
Yeah, and my
and
dad.
then losing your dad. Wow.
I've got my brothers and sisters, but we all had to grow up very fast. Like, my sisters
Mm,
have been my rocks. But in my drinking, that's where
mm,
this drinking, for 2 years, I pushed them out of my life because they was
mm,
trying to help me. But at that point, I thought they was trying to, you know, say you need some help. And I was like, I don't need any help, because this is what this illness used to do. It tells you don't need any help and you're all right. So you
mm,
push people away and you isolate yourself. So for
mm.
2 years, they are the closest to me, and I pushed them away. You know, God, and that was a crazy meeting because I got sober and they was desperate to meet me, and it was, I'd stop my children from seeing. This is what it does, and I love my family, but I'd stop my
Mm,
children, and we had a meeting in a park because they didn't want to meet in a pub or in a restaurant in case it set me off,
mm,
and it was
mm.
like, in it being, it was, that I can see it now when it happened, and I took my kids, and I'd got a dog at this point, and it was just our first meeting again after 2 and a bit years. You know,
Wow. So they were all rooting for you, always. They
yeah.
never stopped rooting for you.
No, even after I was even a nightmare, and and all the stuff that I did, because to them, I made amends to them now. But when you're drinking, you're just awful. You say awful things that you don't mean, and
Mm,
yeah, it was a really tough time because it was. I felt, I now feel for my kids because
mm,
I took that time away from them, but I made up for it now. We're all
mm.
really close.
Yeah, yeah. It's like everybody knew, it's like it's not one of those stories where it's like, oh my gosh, we didn't have our mom around, sisters and brothers, it was they were everybody was always just in position, just waiting for you
Mhm.
to get go through that period and then come out, and then they all came back.
Yeah,
Mm,
that's exactly it. It was,
mm,
even some of my friends, that my bestest friends, they just all party because they used to say, and this is how it would turn me, they'd say, we don't want to be around you, you're a liability, and this is best when, two of those were at my daughter's birth,
mm,
and one of them I didn't get invited to the wedding because she said, I just didn't know which A would turn up because I'd be lovely.
mm,
And then if I drank, like sometimes I could be happy and joyous, and then sometimes I'd be in complete nightmare. And
mm,
yeah, so slowly, you know,
mm.
they,
But they all knew who you were.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I was a
They
good
all,
person underneath all of that. It just
yeah,
got
yeah.
lost.
They knew that. They knew that. They wouldn't have all been waiting for you if they knew that you weren't. Then they knew deep down. Yeah, just gotta wait. Just gotta
Mm,
wait for Aileen. What a beautiful family that you've got though as well.
I'm
For
so
them to,
blessed.
yeah, yeah, 100%. And your focuses now are, what are your focuses now?
Focuses now really is to get my business going. Like what I want to do, I want to public speak eventually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do that. I want to write a book
Hmm,
at
hmm.
some stage. So these are the things I want to do.
Yeah.
Just get my work sorted, get my kids. I've got my youngest is now in college. She's studying, and she's going off traveling when she's 18. So if things carry on the way they are, then I will go and travel again when she goes.
Mm,
The youngest boy is doing his A levels, so I need to get
mm,
those two out of school. My two older ones,
mm,
they're flying. They've got themselves their jobs, and one's still studying. I need to get the other two finish their schooling,
mm,
and then go traveling for a bit, get writing, and hopefully
mm.
take my work with me.
You've
That's my
got
goal.
loads to look forward to.
Oh gosh, it's exciting. Just like
Yeah.
I've got to go on and just do it. But I trust the process. I'm a big
Mm,
believer in you work for something, it will come. But yeah, I set goals. I haven't done my vision
mm,
board for this year yet, so
mm,
I
mm,
always do a vision board. I journal, write my goals down. You know,
mm,
travel, climb mountains. That's what I found this. In recovery, I love
mm.
climbing mountains. It's such peace for me. Um, so climb more
Yes.
mountains.
Out in nature, they say how good nature is and walking is for the mental state and the just clearing your thoughts,
It's great. There's
so
no.
powerful.
It's just you just look around and you think, God, this is amazing. You don't realize how small you are when you're in the valleys or in a mountain. There's no cell phones. You don't really have connection there. There's no hustle and
Mm,
bustle. There's just fresh air.
yeah, yeah.
And I
Yeah,
usually
fresh
swim
air.
in a tarn. There's water. Sometimes there's lakes
Mm,
in the mountains called tarns, which are
mm.
freezing, but you swim in them and you're just alive.
Yes. Traveling and stuff like that as well. Have you got any specific destinations that you want to go to?
Yeah, Peru, Vietnam, Cambodia. Uh,
Oh, very
yeah,
specific.
yeah. No, because I want to climb. I want to do the trail of Machu Picchu. I want to go to the Himalayas.
Nice.
Yeah, look, there's the whole world to see. I love,
Mm,
and I've instilled that in the kids. Go and
yeah.
visit, go and see places. Because when that was one of the things I did when I was 18. You know, I always knew I wanted to get out of where I come from. I thought I've got to travel.
Mm,
And at 18, I went off to Camp America by myself because no one
mm,
else said. They all said we're going to come with you, and nobody came. So I
mm.
went by myself, then I met people, and then I traveled around the Caribbean. Um, and that's where
Wow.
my first love, this was at 18, so where my first love of traveling is. And
Mhm.
thankfully, modelling took me to quite a few places, which I was lucky
Mm.
for. And I just thought, then you have children, and you can't really up the sticks for children by
Yeah.
yourself. It's, taking them to places that I would love to go to. So,
Mm,
life's just beginning for me now. Now I'm free from addiction a day at a
yeah.
time.
Mm.
I can do anything.
You literally can.
Mm,
You literally can.
yeah.
Like, it's the world's your oyster. How old's your youngest?
16. So I've
They're
got
all so
she's
everyone's
18.
grown.
Yeah, 2 more years, and then she's going off traveling. Then Mama's gonna go and do some traveling as well.
Everyone's grown, yeah. I mean, 16, still youngish, but still everyone's grown and two, yeah, like you said, 2 more years, 18, I suppose, yeah. But
Yeah.
the world's your oyster now, and I'm sure you're gonna do great things, Aileen. You really are.
Thank you, my lovely. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I journal about it. That's one of the things that you were saying about, what
Journaling.
could I say? Write your thoughts down. Don't let them get
Mm,
stuck in your head.
mm,
Write, I journal. I write
mm,
goals. I write gratitude daily.
mm,
Write things down because even if you're having a really bad day, I was
mm-hmm,
taught this. This was one of the tools in recovery, and you hear it in the books, but this is one of the tools they say in recovery. Write things that you're grateful for. So even in
mm,
my early days, it was to wake up, that I had,
mm.
gas and electric, when I had no money, that I had a roof over my head, that I had food in my fridge. It was that basic when I started. Now it's a little bit more, I still, every day I say I'm grateful to wake up because that's
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
given, you know.
Mm, yeah, yeah. Mm,
This with my brother, he just one day he died of a heart attack. He was healthy as anything. So it's not given. So
yeah,
that is
yeah.
my thing to I'm always grateful, and I'm grateful that I'm
Mm,
healthy because that's not given either.
no. And I completely see the benefits of journaling, of gratitude, affirmations, all of that. There are so many apps out there that I use
Mm,
to affirm certain things at the beginning of the day to start the day with how you want it to be. This is going to be a good day,
yeah.
regardless,
It
because life's going to happen, Aileen.
really is.
So, you know, I start the day with a strong affirmation and end it with a strong affirmation
Mm, yeah.
and gratitude. I love this particular app that I've got. It's called Gratitude. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Okay. I will have
The
a
app
look
is
at that one. Thank you,
the
Martina.
app is called Gratitude, and it's great because it has prompts. So, for example, today's one: write about something beautiful you noticed today. And you can change the prompt. So you can go new prompt, express gratitude for the opportunity to earn money and fill your needs. You can switch it up, but at least you're prompted with a
Mm,
question. So it gets you thinking.
mm,
On my Instagram and TikTok and my YouTube channel, I do question of the day.
okay.
Have you ever thought about this? If you could do something differently, if you could speak to your younger self, what would you say? If you could do something for the rest of your life and get paid £100,000 for it, and it could be anything, what would you do to get people to start thinking about actually, what would I do? What am I grateful for? Because it's
Mm,
things that we don't do on a day-to-day basis. Naturally, it's a
mm,
conscious effort. In order to create the world and the life that you want, you have to be conscious about it because otherwise you'll just be on autopilot. Get
mm,
into my car, go to work, do this, do that, go to the shopping, come back, boom. Repeat, 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 repeat. So you have to intervene in that process. And I like what you said there because that journaling and getting it out is exactly what's happening is getting all that stuff out so you can have a clear mind and clear thoughts
yeah.
um and wait to be guided. If it's all in here.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But when I was first started, I couldn't think of those things. All of that, what you said, like I set my intentions for the day. But when I first, started to get sober and learn about myself, I couldn't think about those things. So what I did, and I have them around, dotted around. I have a picture behind me which says "Life is beautiful" or "Make it happen" or "Today's gonna." I had all these things around the house. So if I look, it says "Laugh out loud," "Follow your heart," and enjoy the little. I've got these little things to
Mm,
make me think about it so that my
yeah,
head's in a good space because sometimes you
yeah,
get sidetracked. So I just have little prompts, and I used to have post-it notes as well to say, I'm abundant, or today is a good, all of these things
yeah. I
really help.
literally have post-it notes on my fridge because what we're doing really by doing that is training the subconscious mind. We're getting into imprint the subconscious mind so it knows I'm abundant. Okay. I've got a whiteboard that I write something on differently. So when I come in the door, I mean, on what's on my whiteboard at the moment is you will win.
Mm, yeah, Fabulous.
Sometimes
We're quite similar because I put what's my one? Something about my story. End of the story. I will win whatever happens, or something like that.
yeah,
I used to have like I've got a whiteboard in my kitchen and a
yeah,
corkboard, and it has these little things
yeah, yeah.
written on it.
Yeah, yeah. It literally says you will win. And with a little, you need a light bulb for your bedroom as well. So I do put things on there, that I need to, because I forget
Yeah.
about things so often. So I have to have these things around so that it imprints, so that I consciously remember. Anybody, if you could give anybody out there listening one piece of advice, what would it be? It can
Oh
be anything.
gosh. Um, you have the power to overcome anything if you believe you can.
I like that because we do.
Mm,
We do.
yeah.
You have the power to overcome everything.
Mm.
Literally everything. Yeah, you've got the power.
You've got the power. And there was this one, I'm just going to share this. It was in a makeup truck many years ago.
Mhm.
And I'll never forget it. It says, you're winning, you cannot fail. Your only obstacle is your own self doubt.
So true. We get in our own way so much, don't we? And we don't realize that it's us that's doing it, and it's us that's putting that there, the doubts, the fears, the struggles, the obstacles. Um, Yeah, and getting out of your own way sometimes is not always the easiest thing if you've been doing it for years and years and years, and you've got the external world affirming those limiting beliefs, because that's what they are, aren't they? The
Yeah,
doubts, they're
absolutely.
limiting beliefs, aren't they? So once you remove that, the world is your oyster. And like you said, it's a process as well. It's a slow burner, and sometimes it can be fast. It just depends on how quickly you are able to identify those limiting beliefs, which is why I create my business, really, so that I can help people identify what their limiting beliefs are, so
Mm,
that we can eradicate them to help them move on to the next level. Because the self-doubts and things like that, when you really dig deep, where's the truth in a lot of it?
yeah,
It's things that
it's
we've made up in our heads, or things that we've
absolutely.
been told that are not true.
Mm, yeah, absolutely.
You're this, you're that. Well, where's the evidence for that? That's what you think.
Mm. It is.
You
It's that
know?
fear. It's that fear. It's false evidence appearing real. So it's these
Yeah.
things that we make up. We believe it.
Yeah.
You have to stop it. Like, it's why whenever something comes in my head and it's a negative thought, I say, stop right there. Thank you for that. I choose something better and then move on to
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah, I like that. Stop. I like that.
That's the hardest bit because we get stuck. We get so stuck and we believe
Mm,
it and we think that that's our reality. It's not. It's just the thoughts. You have to just
mm,
change that or do something different. And that's how I've used it with my addiction. When that comes in, I've always taught keep myself. If a thought came in, like sneaky thoughts of drinking, then to keep myself busy and no, I don't need it. And once you take your mind off it, that it sort of goes. But you just have
mm,
to think something different or do something different because nothing
mm.
changes if nothing changes.
No, yeah, you're so right. You're so right. And it doesn't. If you don't change, then nothing changes. And some people, and it is tough in those times of grasping that and thinking, right, okay, there's so many contributing factors, support being one of the major things as well. And that really wanting to choose something different, because sometimes you can get so comfortable in just being, this is just comfortable, just
Mhm.
doing this. What's the
Yeah,
point?
it's easy. It's easy to
Yeah, it's
stay
so
there,
easy. Mm,
and the harder thing is to do something different and to change. But
mm,
once you start making, like, that's why I always say just do small steps,
mm,
break
yeah,
it down. Like when I got sober and I relate it into life, just take it into bite sized chunks, keep it in the
mm,
hour, keep it in the minute, the hour, whatever. Just keep doing a
mm.
little bit and a little bit, and it all adds up. It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's like deposits in a bank. You just do a little bit and a little bit, and it's
yeah.
that compounding. When they say that, just do a little bit, consistency.
100%. I feel like when I reflected back on me losing myself and thinking, okay, what was all that about? It was really about taking exactly what you just said there, taking every day, minute, hour. It was like that. Being so present in that you're just, I don't look at the bigger picture. I always only looked at the small picture. I didn't look at the bigger picture. It was step by step, day by day. That's it.
Mm,
And I know it's so flippant. That's it. But it wasn't like that. But it is just taking it step by step, not looking at the bigger picture.
mm.
Because if you do and you zoom out, you'll be like, oh, imagine if you could see the whole
Mm.
picture.
Yeah. No,
You wouldn't
that's
be.
not.
You'd be like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
I'm not taking any more steps if I look at the bigger picture.
yeah.
But if
That's
you
why
just
I always say, just keep it in the day, a day
mm,
at a time. Like I
yeah,
do plan things, but a day at a time. Just get through today. You
zoom
know.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's gonna be a new phrase. Zoom in, be present. Do not zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Zoom all the way in,
yeah,
step by step by step. Whoa, okay, brilliant. Every day is a school day, Aileen. Honestly, I love talking. I love doing these podcasts because it really does give me insight into how other people have overcome different challenges and situations. And I learn so much from everybody. You
yeah.
know, as soon as I think I know something, and then I realize I know nothing.
No, me talking to you, I'm learning as we go along as well. I'm learning from you.
Yeah.
You every day, like you say, there's always something to learn and grow and
Yes.
evolve and just keep
Mm.
getting better, eh?
Yes, yes. Well, I wish you all the best for your future, Aileen. And I thank you for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. And do you have social media or anything like that? Do you?
Yeah,
Have
it's
you got
I
business?
do. Ayleen J Inspires.
Yep. So if anybody wants to follow Aileen, then I'm going to put the details in the video so you
Thank
can
you.
follow her on socials. Are you on Instagram, TikTok?
Instagram, Ayleen J Inspires. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.